Hello and welcome to the Coffee and Hustle podcast. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the need to know in your business. And I am Carla with Design by Carla. And joining me on this podcast today is a very good friend of mine his name is Phillip Polk, and he is with Gulf Coast Accounting. And he has been part of my business for how long now? Phillip, how long has that been now? We don't have enough.
I think it's been 101 years now, something close to that. So anyway,
Great,
long time. Yeah, no, you're definitely not that old. I might feel that old, but you're not.
So
about 20 plus years, about almost 20 years now. So it's
has it been that long?
Been a long time.
That's been a very long time. So thank you for joining us. Will you kind of give us a little insight about what you do for businesses like me in our industry? So give us a little heads up on what is it that you do for us?
Well, our accounting firm is very specific in several different areas. First of all, general accounting for businesses is what we do. That's kind of our bread and butter with our monthly accounting contracts with our clients. We do tax. If you're going to be a full-fledged accounting firm, you're going to have tax season involved in there, which never seems to end. We do business tax returns as well as individual tax returns. I've been a Quickbooks ProAdvisor for the last 17 years. I do a lot of teaching, which I extremely enjoy. We also do some auditing here at our firm also. Our auditing is limited to nonprofits, such as religious denominations and just some local nonprofits. But them are the services that we offer at Gulf Coast Accounting to our clients.
Well, I have to tell you, when I first met you, I think I was a complete mess. I think you sat down with me and really, got me back in some order of what I needed. I think I was like, needed some real guidance. And, when I first met you, I was in a boutique store shopping, and I hear your voice in this background, and you're just talking with this, intelligent mind of like, you should do this and you should do that. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I need to meet this man because I needed someone to tell me what to do, the this and the that, because I was not well disciplined back then. And I don't know how well disciplined I am now, but I'm much better than I was.
Yeah, well, you've made strides, to say the least.
Yeah, so our relationship business-wise has been very seamless, and I really enjoy that with you. And you make things very easy for people like me in business to maintain our sanity, because I think that's the least favorite of any business owner, is having to maintain all our paperwork, I think.
Well, we have lived by this principle all along. Sometimes it can get complicated, but the old KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid, I think still applies in whatever business that someone is involved in. Bring it down to the basics and make it very simple to where anybody could look at a financial statement and comprehend it or understand it. Now, there's some facets about business that is more complicated than others, but for owners and for those looking at reports and making management decisions, it should be as easy as it can be and as simple as it can become. And truly, them are the strides that we try to make here at Gulf Coast Accounting to make it just that.
And I had to say, the personal approach, the way you talk to people, I think it makes it for us to understand a lot of things that we need to do, and so that we can prepare to be better at handling our business. And I can honestly say, knowing the fact that you even actually pick up the phone and just talk to me, because now you're this big guy down in Florida.
Yeah.
How many offices you have now, and how many people you work for you, which is amazing.
Yeah, well, we have expanded. We've been blessed. We are, but a big shot. No, I don't believe that. The only thing I have to do is go home and let my wife put me in place within the first 5 minutes, and I know my role. So, yes.
That's good to know. That's good to know that you know where you should be.
There you go. Absolutely. And if I ever dare have any semblance of largeness or big-headedness, trust me, she picks up on that very quickly, and she
said you were
reminds
right.
me of who I really am. So
Yeah. Remember where your place is. But no,
absolutely.
I think honestly, I think it's just really good to know after all these years of being part of this business with you and the transitions that you've seen me go through. Knowing the fact that even no matter where you're at in your business, you've helped many businesses and people like me figure out where we should be. And so I think that's good to know that no matter how big we get or if we're struggling, you had that guidance to kind of move us in the direction that we need to go. And I think that's really good to know that, that have that personal touch. And I think that's really good because I love that customer service about you, because I feel like even if I call you and ask you probably the stupidest questions or the dumbest questions, even though they're probably not stupid or dumb, you have the way of simplifying that for me. And I don't want to know all these laws. And especially with them changing constantly, how can you keep up with that? The last thing you want to do is get in trouble with your taxes,
Absolutely. And truly, anybody can if they don't have a good CPA firm, a good accounting firm that assists them, that will keep up with the latest knowledge and information consistently. Let me get that off my screen. I'm sorry. Let me get that back. There we go. Was going for a little bit.
Did you have some technical difficulties there?
And, I had some software that popped up and said, look, you're fixing to time out my tax software. And I thought, yeah, I should have already minimized all that, but did not. But nonetheless.
Yes. So with all these changes that are happening and all these rules that we're having to follow now, with the last, with all the things that we're having to deal with as far as like people that are coming from a office environment to a in-home office environment, does some of that change in the accounting aspect of that? How does that affect the accounting part, especially a big business that has employees that are now going from an office space to an in-house office space? How does that affect you accounting wise?
Well, everything about any business relationships with the public has changed dramatically. As I mentioned to you before our podcast began, everything that we're doing here at Gulf Coast Accounting is about 2.5 times as hard as it was 30 days ago. My entire staff at all of our offices are working at home now, which has presented a lot of challenges for us, making sure your server can handle the amount of work to remote in. Some of our employees are using LogMeIn, which has its own challenges in and of that, because you've got to go through a computer to be able to even get to your server. So we have had challenges like that. So everything that we do has become very, very, very complicated. What we do during tax season right now, because of our state being kind of shut down, if you will, with the stay-at-home order and not meeting clients face-to-face, everything is done remotely. That's where people like you come in a terrific way that assist us, though, Carla. Have a web design company to be able to assist us with our websites, and people that can go online and pay their bills or submit information, electronically, maybe through the website. We have just recently put up some stuff that's on our website that people can go to and download, that's from the SBA offices now, in the federal SBA offices. So, companies like yours are invaluable to people like me that can assist us in getting that information out. But businesses in general, and the way that we're doing accounting is just simply more challenging. We're emailing a whole lot more. We're using DocuSign a lot more than we ever did, because we're not meeting with people, in person anymore. And for some of my younger staff, they've been trying to drag me into the 21st century for quite some time. And now I have had no greater opportunity and chance to do it but now. So,
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the year of Y2K.
yeah,
I mean, not that we're comparing, the situation,
yeah,
but in some ways, the technology has been there. All of these things, these tools that we are currently now kind of forced into, we're kind of now, not only am I teaching you in a fast pace, like, hey, you need to get on, you got to learn it quickly, because the faster you learn it, the better to keep it, you're retaining your customer base. But then also it's like these tools were accessible to you, but now you're kind of forced into them. It changes how you're going to probably do business from here on out. And in some ways, even though you're still going to come back to an office atmosphere, even after all this is done, for those that need that. For me, it's like I've been in the online industry now for well over who knows, 18, 19 years at this most. And to be honest with you, it's like, for me, it's like I've been in this world for a while. And so trying to get people to really do that, for the last several years, I've been trying to get people to transition to the online, of being more open to webinars or training online programs and things like that. And then when this hit, it's like, oh my gosh, let's get this going. And so I've been in this rush moment where things have been a little insane for me. So now that things are starting to kind of calm down, I can concentrate on my current work that I've got on my desk. But still, I mean, the transition is hard for a lot of people.
and it is. You said something that is key, not only to my business, but a lot of businesses. When all this is over, the pandemic is over, most businesses, including ours, will never go back to the total way of how we have done business. It has been transitioning for quite some time, Carla, to where businesses are becoming more across state lines, becoming more national, becoming more international anyway. And this just accentuates that level to where we have had to put things in place or force us to put elements in place to where we will never go back to business as usual. Before now, we have never used DocuSign for our documents. I can promise you the ease of using a program like that, I will never go back to the way that we used to do it just by sending a PDF through email.
And it's like I said, it's like, for me, it's like now you're discovering things and tools, that you'll know if you're going to use it going forward or not. What made it easy for you, whether it's the DocuSign or even if it's just some online aspects. And it could actually potentially expand your online, teaching too. You could, do some online webinar stuff. You can actually do some sharing of documents right online with somebody, going, telling them exactly what it is without them having to leave their office to come see you. And I do think it's important to meet clients face to face, and also do some meetings online. I think mixing it up makes it easy for people. But because a lot of clients, they just want to meet you and have lunch. They just want to talk to you. That a lot of my clients just want to go, hey, let's have lunch. They don't necessarily want to sit there and just talk about business. They just want to have a moment where they're sharing their opportunity of what ideas they have. But now we're not able to do that right now. We're kind of, now it's just all business. And I think that's what's the biggest part that people are dealing with. And then the people that are gone from an office environment to an in-house environment office, they don't know that transition and when to cut it off, or they don't have the motivation to put as much effort into their work because they'd rather be at home. So they don't know that dividing line a little bit too.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of things that truly have happened here that will change the way we do business in the days to come. I miss personal interaction. I'm a huge people person, so I love to shake hands,
What?
pat people on the back,
Never think that you were a person to person.
Well, I'm not an introvert. I can tell you that has never been said of me. So, but I miss that interaction. So I appreciate the interaction when we will be able to have it again. But I also appreciate the fact that it has accelerated my use of technology that I have not used in the past. So there are a lot of good things and aspects that are coming from, quote, our downtime. Even though my days have increased in my workload, we're working 14-hour days now, where maybe we're only working 12 or 10 and a half, simply because of the amount of time it takes to do what work we were doing in a shorter amount of time. But there's a lot of good aspects that are going to come from this. It'll be profitable for all companies in the days to come. So if you're stressed out, I just simply say to you, relax, go with the flow. What is going on right now will continue to propel your businesses down the road. Just don't get overly stressed.
Yeah. So you're saying that because our accountant has our back, because now they've expanded, they pushed the deadline for accounting for taxes to July 15th is what I wrote down.
Yes.
That just really takes some of the stress off of us as business owners, right? But you also mentioned something that even though it's July 15th, that is also the date for what is July 15th for payment?
Well, it's not only the suspended date or due date, new date to go ahead and file. It is also the due date of when to pay. So it's two different things. And we've had a lot of questions about that. It is a due date to file and a due date to pay. So April 15th is not the date to go ahead and pay any longer. It is the date to go ahead, the new date, July 15th, to pay and to file. So that is good. So people have until that time to go ahead and take care of payment, even if they are filing electronically now,
So what does that happen, these first three, especially these first 3 months, our first quarter, with the losses that these businesses have had endured, how does that affect their accounting too? With that loss, how are they going to submit that information, especially if they don't have in-house employees? How's all that going to work?
That is another reason for the deadline extension also. The first extension that we had was March the 15th for partnerships and S corps. Of course, we have a lot of companies that we represent, and we were hoping that the IRS would give us some relief from that particular deadline. We did not hear that they were giving us relief at that time. So the returns that we did not have complete, we had to go ahead and file the extensions, which was okay. The but to that is, if we would have known that, we probably could have saved about 3 or 4 hours that night filing extensions. We're still a little unclear for those that we did not get filed, whether or not there's going to be relief in those that we did not get to. I believe that is the case. And it took several weeks after the president's order came down for the IRS to kind of kick it in gear and say, hey, look, we're going to extend this deadline. And I think there were several congressmen that pushed the issue. I know the AICPA, the American Institute of CPAs, pushed the issue. IRS, you've got to give us a clear opinion about what the future is going to look like. They did that. By the way, the AICPA has an incredible little thing that they put out about due dates for all states and for all federal returns this year. I would suggest that people go to that. I think you can just download it from the AICPA.com website that is right there on their webpage. And it's great for no matter what state you live in, no matter what federal returns that you've got to file, to go ahead and know what all these new dates are.
So I have a question on the relief that that was signed. Who is not qualified for those reliefs? Like, people, with all the stuff that goes on Facebook and the people that post stuff, and it's very confusing sometimes. Who was not really involved in that relief when it came to that bill that was being signed?
Yeah, well, it's very interesting. And we're talking about what relief are available for businesses now that we have had so much shutdown. The president, through the CARES Act, gave the SBA, the Small Business Administration, the authority to go ahead and process loans as well as give grants. I cannot tell you how important this information is. Your question was, does it exempt anybody? My general answer is no, it does not. Everybody qualifies, whether you're an LLC, whether you're an S Corp, whether you're a full C corporation, whether you have employees, whether you do not have employees, whether you're simply a sole proprietor and may not even have an EIN number. Everybody qualifies for some kind of relief. Let me give our listeners today, Carla, a website that they can go to for this information. It is sba.gov. That's where you're going to find a lot of relief and a lot of help. A lot of questions can be answered. Our time, we know, is limited today, but that's where a lot of these questions can be answered. Those that cannot be answered there, you're simply going to have to call a firm like ours that have researched these issues to try to get further explanation on what they need to do, what forms they need to submit. There are two specific areas that companies that are looking for relief during this time that may have laid employees off or going through some type of economic hardship. The first is really a grant. Even though it says it is a loan, it is really a grant, and it's the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, acronym EIDL, which stands for Economic Injury Disaster Loan. However, this is not necessarily a loan. Now, this has been around a long time. However, what they have done, this $10,000 that any company can get, or up to, that's the key word, up to. It doesn't mean that you're getting $10,000, but up to $10,000 is available for every business out there to file this paperwork with the SBA.gov online. You're supposed to get some kind of answer within 3 days to maybe a week. I personally do not know anybody that has filed this that has got their money because the system has been so overloaded. This money does not have to be paid back. It is a grant. It does not have to be paid back. Whatever money comes through the processing, quote, of this paperwork, none of this money, not a dime of this money, has to be paid back.
And when you say up to 10,000,
yes,
you're meaning that that's all. If they get up to 10,000, that's the cap.
That is the cap for this particular processing. Absolutely. Now, I had several clients over the last couple of days say, Phillip, what do you mean up to? How do I qualify, or how do I know what I qualify for? Well, that's probably one of them $10 million questions that the SBA figures out based on some information that you actually put on your application to process. There's very limited information from your P&L report and or balance sheet that you use to fill this application out. You got to have total revenue for a 12-month period. And it's not just the end of December 31st. It actually goes into this new calendar year that we're in, such as February 1st of 2019 to the end of January 31st of 2020. So it goes across a calendar year that you're looking at this information. What are your receivables? What's your income? What are your cost of goods? What is your expenses? And then how many people do you have on payroll? And pretty much that is the extent of information that you need to file this paperwork with the SBA to receive that $10,000 or up to $10,000 grant.
And if we if as business owners, because we're trying to run a business or keep things somewhat under control, it's good to reach out to our accountant, people like Phillip, that can help us with that paperwork process, because they already have the information that we have given them, and they can fill out that information for us with, and there's a small fee attached to that, but it's actually well worth it, knowing the fact that we fill it out correctly.
It is. Let me tell you one thing we have done here, Carla, at Gulf Coast Accounting. We had a staff meeting 2 days ago. We have been getting so many calls from clients and non-clients alike, people that are just needing information and wanting to assist them. We have suspended our tax filings. Yesterday, actually today, this morning was the last morning that we are filing returns for a period of 10 days. So we can assist our clients and other businesses with information and their filings for these SBA loans. We actually have a new individual that we've brought on. Her name is Carla. Kind of interesting. Her name is Carla that we brought on. She is
Those are nice names, by the way. Carla's a nice name.
It is a nice name, ain't it?
That's called the Queen's name.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Well, let's not go there. Let's keep on track here, Carla. Okay? No, I don't disagree with you at all. But she is our point person here at Gulf Coast Accounting that is actually dispensing all this workload to all of us through our firm. And we, like I said, have suspended tax filing so we can help our businesses. I made the decision this past week that if we don't do something to help our businesses, when tax season is over, there might not be monthly accounting clients to go back to if we don't assist them.
Yeah.
I feel that it's imperative not only for our firm, but every firm out there to do the same. And I'm not telling every firm to suspend tax season, but make sure you take what time is necessary to assist your business and other businesses in these filings so they can stay afloat. There is money out there. There is help that is out there. We have a fiduciary responsibility, I feel, to be able to assist our clients and others that are in business and getting them the relief that they need.
Well, I think it's good to know that information because, who do we call and reach out to? Is our accountant, and those are the people that are going to guide us into the direction that we need to go to keep us where we need to be and keep us sane. So that we're not overly stressed. I think we're dealing with a lot of stress levels, and I think also mental aspects of what's going on with this too, because, I think the biggest issue is like the fear of unknown really just paralyzes a lot of people. But now that we've had some guides and we've got people on board that we know that we can call and trust, accountant would be the first place to me personally to go to and say, what can we do? Because you guys know the laws, what paperwork needs to be filled out for us, and we're not having to figure it out on our own. I don't want to figure it out on my own. Sometimes we don't want to, we have to suck our pride up and go, you know what, somebody else can help me with this too. So now that we know a little bit more about the SBA, and you said there's a difference between a loan and a grant. So they offer a loan and a grant, right?
That's right. Now, some of this paperwork that is of the economic injury disaster loan, you can also file that paperwork at the same time you're asking for that $10,000 grant for loans through the SBA also. So now, last Friday, things have rapidly changed every day. We have had some new regulation or some new information that has come about last Friday. To apply for the $10,000 grant was a separate application than the economic injury disaster loan. Both of them have been wrapped in together now. So you can apply for a loan and qualify for a loan as well as on this same application, get up to that $10,000 grant money that can come to your business. Now, we probably need to talk about the other loan that is available or grant that can be forgiven that's extremely important to businesses out there, because owners are having to make the decision, do I let my employees go for them to draw unemployment? Do I keep them on until I have no money left? What do I do? Well, through this CARES Act, we have what is called the PPP, which is the Paycheck Protection Program that businesses can apply for to go ahead and keep their employees staffed, still employed, still getting a paycheck, and you apply through your local bank. Actually, this paperwork does not go directly to the SBA. You can file or you can find some information about the PPP on SBA.gov that will give you an idea about what information that a bank is going to be looking for. But I need to make that clear. It is your local bank or a local bank that actually will file this paperwork for you. Now, the information from bank to bank is a little bit different. What Wells Fargo may require might be a little bit different than what Regions may require. There are some banks that are not participating in the PPP program at all. You have got to find a bank in your local area. The easiest way to do that is go to the SBA.gov website, put your zip code in, and in a certain radius, you can find banks that are participating in the Paycheck Protection Program there. If your bank is not, go to another bank within a 25-mile radius that is participating in this program. Call them. Some banks that have been participating are no longer participating because they have maxed out and said we're not processing anymore. So as the days go on, it is going to be much more difficult to try to find a bank that will or is participating in this program. My advice is do it as quickly as possible.
So we just need to be as proactive in every aspect of this at this point. Now that, I think a lot of us thought that maybe by the beginning of April, we'd be back to normal and go back our daily to day business. And I think it was kind of the sticker shocker was, here we are being quarantined even longer. And who knows, getting closer to the end of the month, what other announcements will come out. So we just need to start being really prepared. I think in the beginning, it was just the adjustment of like moving people from, getting them from the office environment to the home office environment, getting things hooked up. And then, okay, what do we do now? And these are really great steps to know that, okay, we have options. We just need to be really, keeping them as a focus. So this is really, really important for businesses to know that they have to get this stuff out. And if you've got questions, reach out to your accountant, like give them a call. And sometimes it may take them a couple of days to give you a call back because, they're just as busy dealing with all these changes too. So adjustments has to be, and patience, I think, is very important right now. Yeah. Lots and lots of patience. And I know in our society, it's kind of hard to find that sometimes, but we just have to kind of take a deep breath and go, okay, things are out of our control, but we have people that can help us.
I absolutely. We do live in a fast-paced society. All of us, including us that work in the accounting world, we like things instantaneous and very, very quickly. And we have continued to ask our clients, be very patient with us as we're trying to get your returns out, as we're trying to get your filings done, as we're researching this information for you. Please be patient with us. But it's very hard to do with that fast-paced society that we have grown accustomed to. So patience is absolutely the key for individuals as well as businesses now. Take a deep breath and just simply move forward.
I think that's a really good aspect of looking to a lot of it, even though it's easy for us to say it, we have to practice it too, because we're all dealing with these adjustments too. Even though I work in a home office environment and I've been doing it for a long time, I'm a extrovert. I like seeing people's faces and I like to talk to people. I'm not a fan of texting because I think it's impersonal, but I do miss that quality time of being able to take that break from my home environment, office environment to going out and meeting people. So how is your employees adjusting with all these changes? Have they been, is it kind of been an up and down, or have they been seemed to be doing quite well getting adjusted?
Actually, it's been an up and down process. I know 3 of them have no hair left, but they send me video clips of, absolutely just pulling their hair out, going crazy. Because so many people are having to work at home, obviously internet systems are just overloaded and you don't have the speed maybe that you thought that you would have working at home or working remotely. Sometimes your server goes down. Sometimes it has to be reset. Sometimes a modem has to be reset. Sometimes a log me in computer has got to be shut down and booted again. I mean, there's all kind of difficulties that are going on during this time. But I think overall, our staff is learning that these are daily adjustments that we simply have. And I'm sure that that's true for every company out there. I would love to say that we're the most proficient accounting firm that has ever existed, but I cannot. This has presented a lot of challenges for us, but it's also showed us areas that we were unprepared, really, that we should have been prepared for before this kind of shutdown started for us.
I think that's hands down across the board with everything that we're doing. Every business, I don't know. I think it's just not one of those things you think about, because who would think that this would be something that we would be all dealing with, and having to readjust, and knowing the fact that we're all kind of have to take this moment going, all right, what do we do now? And, but I think that the biggest issue, I think for us, is just like, okay, how much longer do we have to do this, even though we're made to, you know what I mean? It's required. And for all of us that, our health is so much more important than anything, is to stay home, and do the right thing. But I think at this point, I think the morale has to continue. And being a business owner, right, you have to have, not only if you've got to keep yourself stable and patient, you've got to be kind of the guide and the leader for that. Do you feel that way now that, you being a business owner and you've got employees, do you feel like you have to step up and remind people that it's going to be okay?
Yeah, we do. And, overall, I'm a very upbeat, very positive person. However, when I get on my iPad at night, there's so much negativity that is there. I don't know how anybody can watch a network news program and not feel gloom and despair. I think about that Hee Haw song that they used to sing on that program, gloom, despair, and agony on me. Oh, and if we're not careful, we can easily slide into that mentality. And my wife, when I'm telling her the evening news of what they said, or looking at my iPad of something that was posted, she truly does help me in a tremendous way to encourage me. Phillip, get out of that. I don't want to hear about that. She said, we got to be upbeat. We got to be positive for our employees, for our businesses, for our clients. And she's right. So every day when I get up, I make sure that I do my best to have that mentality.
Yeah.
We have got some incredible people, though, that work around us. And one thing I learned as a leadership principle years ago, Carla, was this. If you surround yourself with people that are better than you are in areas, you're going to be successful. So we have done that here at Gulf Coast Accounting. So what really makes me look good as a leader really is the effort of so many people that are around me that truly are upbeat. Is my role as a leader, has it changed to where I have to continue to encourage more? The answer is absolutely yes. And sometimes when I get up in the morning, I got to tell you, I don't feel like walking down that yellow brick road, and being happy and content, and everything is just beautiful and the sun is shining today. Let's have a glorious day. Some days I don't feel that way, but I've also learned that you've got to force yourself to act in a different way, even though you might not feel that way. If you start acting in a different way, sometimes that feeling will come later. Do what you need to do. Stay upbeat. I don't care if you feel like doing it or not. The more you act your way into doing that, the better you're going to feel. In other words, you're acting your way into a different way of feeling. And that is contagious with others that are around you.
I think that we have to remind ourselves to count our blessings.
Yeah.
And know the fact that we're very fortunate to have what we have right now. I know there's a lot of people that are in that uncertainty. And, we all can relate to the fact that, we've got friends that are losing jobs and people that are suffering, with being sick. And, we just have to know that sooner or later, hopefully this will all pass and, things will get somewhat to normal, but I just don't know if it'll be normal much anymore. I think it'll be, that cautious moment. But then also, I think in some ways with all this is happening, it's kind of forced people to slow down a little bit, and hopefully they'll appreciate the family value of knowing the fact that people are, staying at home and got a home cooked meal, and appreciate those things that we tend to forget about and take for granted. So I have to tell you, Phillip, you're a joy to talk to, and I learned so much over these years. It's always fun to call and talk to you. There's always a story,
Yeah.
So quite a few stories over the years. And, but, I have to say thank you for all those years of just, answering my phone calls and listen to me jibber jabber. Cause I talk some spit too. I share some wisdom of ideas. But I act like I know what I'm talking about. But a lot of times it's just a bunch of bull.
Well, all of us do. All of us,
Oh, crap.
we speak
Yeah,
big a lot of times, but
I'm pretty
sometimes we
good at,
don't have any idea what we're talking about.
yeah, I can sell the toilet paper pretty good. Anyway, well, I want to tell you, is there anything else that you would like to share with us today about our businesses and as business owners? For those that started out in business, is there something that we're missing, or is there anything that you want to share with us before we come to a close on our podcast?
Yeah, we want to summarize. First of all, for those businesses out there, whether you're struggling right now or maybe struggling in 2 weeks, there's help that is available. First of all, the resources of your local accountant, go to them. If you don't have a local accountant, need information, our firm is available to speak with you. In fact, I have a book here. This is our Corona Bible, is what we call it. This is my Corona Bible that has so much information to be able to assist businesses that are out there. We don't have all the answers because everything is changing literally every day. Not everything. I should say so much is changing every day. And so we try very hard to keep up with it for individuals and for our clients. But there's plenty of help that is available. Reach out, go to SBA.gov, start reading that information, do these submissions through your local bank, do the submissions through the SBA.gov website that is there. There are also local grants that are available. I know in Northwest Florida, Escambia County, Florida, which is the Pensacola area, they have local grants. Gulf Power has given $250,000 to our area in a 7 to 9 county region that the Small Business Development Center, the University of West Florida, is dispensing. There's a lot of businesses that will qualify for that. There's every county that is doing something for the businesses in their county. Escambia County is setting aside 100,000. Santa Rosa is setting aside 100,000. So there's a lot of local dollars that are set aside for businesses too.
So do you recommend at the end of maybe just reaching out to the local chamber of commerce, to the local chamber of commerces that are well connected to these other businesses that may have some of these available aspects of knowing what it is that we can do together. And I think it's important to know that we're all in this together.
Yes.
We're supporting each other, and supporting local businesses, continuing to buy, support our restaurants by, doing what we can for them, just helping these local businesses survive through this process so that they're still going to be standing there even after all this is said and done, and continue to do that. But you're saying that if we want more, reach out, talk to someone, ask questions.
Absolutely.
I think it's so important just to ask questions, and don't be afraid. Don't let our pride, a lot of times we let pride get in front of the things that we should be knowing about. And don't be embarrassed to ask, because sometimes we may be suffering. We don't want anybody to know that we're suffering, but just ask questions, reach out, talk to people, talk to your accountant, talk to the people at the Chamber of Commerce. Even if you're not a member, just talk to someone and ask those questions that, where do you start? And I think that that's important. Just starting, good starting point. Yeah.
It is. And I do agree. There's a tremendous amount of help that is available, but you got to get up and move. You got to pick up the phone. You got to research it on the web. There's a lot that is there. Unfortunately, Carla, businesses are failing every day right now. There's not a day that's gone by that I haven't heard of another business saying, I cannot do this any longer. I heard that the Logan's restaurant is closing every one of their chains and laying off all 18,000 of their employees. So it is imperative that business owners reach out now. Don't wait until it gets to critical mass down the road, even though you think you may be doing well now. Be very proactive. Business owners that need that help now, especially, reach out. There's many of us that can help.
Yeah. And I think it's so important. Just taking the moment of like, okay, breathing and answering those questions that we need to know. And this is that need to know moment in our podcast where it's just reaching out and asking these questions. So Phillip, thank you so much. We really appreciate your knowledge and your guidance and things that maybe some people did not know about. I certainly did not know about some of these things that were available to even my business. And I really appreciate your time today. So thank you so much for joining us.
Been my honor. Appreciate it.
Yes, I hope we can do another podcast very soon, and it may be under different circumstances.
Sure,
You can talk about all your different taxes and all your fancy stuff that I don't know about. But
absolutely,
I could probably talk tech with you all day long.
You could.
But I appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's great to see your face, even though you can't see it on this podcast. I can see you.
Yes.
But I wanted to say thank you so much for being part of my business and part of my life over all these years. So I appreciate you. So thank you. And we'll have another Coffee and Hustle pretty soon. I'm Coffee and Hustle, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you.